everybody, welcome to lessons on 48th Lane, and we're so glad to be here tonight. We're excited because we have a cooking demonstration.
We do, and not only is it going to be lessons on 48th Lane, but this is also, if everything actually works, you never know, this is also going to be chapel for the elementary students at St. John next week as well, because it really tells us a story. And this theme tonight is how God uses even the yucky stuff in our lives, even the yucky stuff in our lives for His purpose, for His glory, okay? And so we're going to do a couple things here. We're going to start out just as we're gathering up, doing a song, and backed by popular demand, it's God's Not Dead. Woo-hoo! So here we go. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. Feel me in my hands. God is alive. All right, just in case you're new, every time we're going to add emotion. The first time through, it's clap, clap. The second time through, stop, stop. Third time through, blink, blink. Fourth time through, thump, thump. Fifth time through, soul. Woo! All right, so let's start again. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. Feel me in my hands. God is alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. Feel me in my feet, stomp, stomp. Feel me in my hands, clap, clap. God is alive. Here we go. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. Feel me in my eyes, blink, blink. Feel me in my feet, stomp, stomp. Feel me in my hands, clap, clap. God is alive. All right, come on now. You got to be doing the motions with us. Do them along. Oh, here we go. And God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. Feel me in my heart, thump, thump. Feel me in my eyes, blink, blink. Feel me in my feet, stomp, stomp. Feel me in my hands, clap, clap. God is alive. All right, you got one more. It's filling my soul. Woo! God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. God's not dead, no, He's alive. Feel me in my soul, woo! Feel me in my heart, thump, thump. Feel me in my eyes, blink, blink. Feel me in my feet, stomp, stomp. Feel me in my hands, clap, clap. God is the beginning alive. All right.
Woo!
So, what do we got, Mrs.
Well,
Shanks?
today we are going to be baking some cookies, and I was just wondering out there if any of you knew what kind of ingredients would go into cookies.
By the way, we've got them all lined up
Ooh,
here.
yes,
You can't
I'm
maybe
so
see them all,
excited.
but they're all here ready to be put together.
And baked in the oven, and so we're going to go through the ingredients with you.
All right, we are. All right, and we're going to be using this. This is not just a cooking demonstration, trust me. This is a story that's going to unfold, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's a verse that we're going to demonstrate with making cookies. So I'm going to tell you the verse once, and then I'm going to tell you it again. And it says, and this is going to be, I realize if it's kids, this is probably not your first memory verse ever. You know, you probably know John 3:16 or something like that. But this is from Romans chapter 5, and it says this: we rejoice in our sufferings because we know Our sufferings produce perseverance, and perseverance, character, character, hope, and hope never disappoints because God is pouring out his love into our hearts. That's a big verse.
That is big.
That's a pretty big verse, especially for elementary kids to kind of, but we're going to help you by making cookies understand what this verse is all about.
But first we thought when we were going to make the cookies, we would try each of the ingredients separately.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
All right, so I'm going to start, and the first ingredient we have is white sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and taste this.
These are clean spoons.
They are.
Sanitized spoons.
Okay. White sugar, and I'm going to take a little taste of it, and that tastes pretty good.
All right.
Yum. So I'm going to pour this in my bowl.
Okay, so what do I get to taste?
Well, the first thing you get to taste is flour. I
Flour.
wonder how that's going to taste.
Oh my goodness.
And because he's on low carb stuff, we're going to do coconut flour for him today. So there you go.
All right.
How's it taste? Is it good? No? You're making a face.
Well, it's very dry.
My sugar was really good.
Mm.
We're going to go ahead and put the flour in here.
All right.
All right. So the next one.
I'm hoping it's liquid because my mouth is coated in flour.
Alrighty, the next thing is, I'm so excited. You know what it is?
That looks like brown sugar.
Brown sugar. Ooh, I think this will be good too. What do you guys think? Let's try a little bit of it.
All right, I gotta get some water.
Okay. That is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and dump my brown sugar in there.
Oh my. All right, so what do I get to try?
Let's see. Your next thing is, oh, this looks delicious. Baking soda.
Baking soda?
Yeah, I think that'll be really good. What do you guys think? I'm going to put it in mine.
All right. I don't have to have a lot, do I?
No, just a little bit.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead. How does it taste? Is it good?
No.
No?
It's so salty.
Is it yucky?
Oh, it's yucky.
Alrighty. Guess what? My next one is, I'm the lucky one here. I get to have the chocolate chips. Because we are making chocolate chip cookies. I'm so excited. I love chocolate. So I'm going to taste my chocolate chip.
All right, well,
It's
I gotta
so
be,
good.
I'm sure I'm due for something
pour it in my
really good.
batter.
All right, what do I get to taste?
You're so lucky because guess what?
What?
You get to have butter. 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 Right there's your butter.
Butter.
I bet that'll be really good.
Let me see.
Oh, my chocolate's so good. Oh! Was that good?
Buttery.
All right, so I'm gonna
Woo! It's
go
a fat
ahead
bomb.
and put my butter in there that I have softened.
All right.
Is that yummy too?
Well, I gotta say, it was yummier than the baking soda.
Okay. I'm
right.
just gonna throw that in there.
All right.
Alrighty, and my last ingredient I get to have. Smell it. Does it smell good?
That's vanilla.
Ooh, vanilla. So excited. I'm just going to take a little taste of it here.
By the way, I do want to clarify that the bite of butter that I ate is not going into
No,
the
it
cookies.
is not going into the cookies.
That is going to the side.
So I have my vanilla in there.
And what do I get to have?
Oh, I think the last ingredient is, what would you guys guess? Well, it is egg. So here you go, Pastor Jeff.
An egg?
An egg. Yes, an egg.
Wait a minute. Everything that you got to taste tastes wonderful, and everything that I got to taste is yucky.
Well, I think it's because I'm just so sweet. I think that people would probably agree with that. Go ahead, go ahead and take your taste. Go ahead. Just close your eyes and hold your nose.
There you get a little more.
How was it? Was it good?
I do not want to do that. unless they are in an omelet, I do not want them.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to go ahead and stir up our batter.
Like we said, this is a story, and we're gonna work this together, and we're gonna make this a story, but it's all based on this idea that we rejoice in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, hope, and hope never disappoints us because we know God is pouring his love into our hearts. Now here's the thing, as Mrs. Shanks is mixing that up. In our life, we have some great things that are very, very sweet that happen. And then sometimes we have things that aren't as sweet. Sometimes they might even be a little bitter, or maybe they're very salty and sour, or maybe they just plain taste yucky. And we've been going through a time period where there's some good things and bad things going on, but with our time period where we've been staying at home, I mean, there's some sweet parts, like we get to be with our family a lot more, and we get to eat together and spend time together. Maybe you play games together, and all that's sweet. But then there's some things that aren't as sweet, and sometimes maybe even a little yucky because there's some people that's been getting sick. Or maybe you can't go and spend time with your friends. Or maybe for some of you, you can't even go and see your grandma and grandpa, because you're kind of making sure that they stay good and healthy. And so we want everybody to be healthy. And so during that time, and it gets really kind of confusing because if God is really loving us, how come we get sweet stuff in our lives, but sometimes we get yucky stuff too? And we're going to try to figure out because, look, we're making these cookies, and I'm going to tell you the things that Mrs. Shanks ate were pretty sweet. They were pretty good. And the things I got seemed pretty yucky. I'm not sure why, but as we do this, how are we doing, Mrs. Shanks?
We're getting there.
We're getting there. We're getting the cookies,
Sir.
Okay? So, again, I want you to think. Now, where was that verse? What book of the Bible was that in? Was it in Matthew? No. Mark? No. Luke? No. John? No. Acts? No. Romans? Yes. Romans chapter 5. Maybe I can even say it one more time. We rejoice in our sufferings because we know our suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, character hope, and hope does not disappoint because God has poured his love into our hearts. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to tell you a little story while our cookies are baking in the oven. They're in the oven, right?
Yes, they are.
All right, so they're going to need a couple minutes. So in the meantime, we're going to tell you a story that tells this same part. It's an old story, and it's about 3 trees.
Yeah, so here we go. The 3 trees.
So are you going to start it out, Mrs. Shanks?
I am. I'm going to show them the first picture here.
All right.
Once upon a mountaintop, there were 3 trees who dreamed of what they would be when they grew up.
Now the first tree was looking up into the sky at night, and it saw all those stars that looked like diamonds in the sky, and it thought, when I grow up, I would love to be a treasure box and hold the most beautiful treasure in the world.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
so cool.
That was a cool dream.
Yes, and the second little tree looked out at the small stream by the ocean and said, you know what I want to be? I want to be a strong sailing ship. I want to travel those big waters and carry powerful kings.
Oh, wow. That's a big dream,
That
too.
is so cool.
Do you know what the third dream, though, it dreamed about? It looked down in the valley below, and it looked out there and said, you know what? I just want to stay on this mountain, and I want to grow up big and tall and beautiful so that when anybody looks at me, they have to look way up, and they'll think about the God of the universe above us.
Well, you know what? The years passed, the rains came, and the sun shone, and those trees grew up. And one day, there were 3 woodcutters that climbed up the mountain.
Ah, now the first of the woodcutters came up to the very first tree. And the tree got so excited because the first words out of his mouth and says, "What a beautiful tree. This tree will work beautifully for me." And so with the swing of an axe, the tree fell, but it knew and it dreamed about becoming a treasure box and holding the most beautiful of treasures.
Now the second woodcutter looked at the second tree and said, "This tree is strong. It is just perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. "Now I shall sail mighty waters," thought the second tree, "and I will be a strong ship fit for a king."
All right. And the third tree, its heart sank as she came. She saw the woodcutter coming her direction, and she thought, "Oh, I cannot hide. I will just stand so tall, and so that woodcutter will look up and will see God and will point to God and will forget all about me." But he didn't even look up. All he did was mutter, "It doesn't matter what this tree looks like for what I want it for." And with the swoop of the axe, she fell.
Now the first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him into the carpenter's shop. But the busy carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Instead, his hands fashioned a feed box for animals.
How disappointing.
I know.
And the second tree smiled as he realized he was being taken down to a shipyard. And so he dreamed of all the beautiful boat that he would be and the kings who would ride on him in deep, deep waters. But soon he was crushed when he realized he was being fashioned into a simple fisherman's boat.
Now the third tree was very confused, because the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and left her in the lumberyard.
Many, many days and nights passed, and the three trees forgot all about their dreams. But then one day, one beautiful golden night, the stars were out, and suddenly, instead of food for animals, a woman was laying her little child in her as a feed box. She heard the man with her whisper, "I wish I could have you a beautiful fancy cradle." But she said, "Don't worry. This manger is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." And indeed, suddenly that tree knew he was holding the most beautiful treasure.
One evening, a tired traveler and his friends got into a fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep, and the ship or the boat sailed quietly onto the lake. When all of a sudden, there was this huge storm, thunder and lightning, and the poor fishing boat thought, "I will never be strong enough to bring these people to safety." When all of a sudden, the tired traveler stood up, woke up from his sleep, and put up his hands and said, "Peace." And the rain stopped, the storm stopped, everything stopped. And this tree knew that he was carrying a king of heaven and earth.
One Friday morning, suddenly the third tree was rudely disturbed and suddenly found herself being dragged through the middle of a center of the city, and an angry crowd yelling and jeering against whoever carried it. And suddenly she felt ugly and she felt cruel as soldiers took that man, threw him down, and pierced his skin as he drove nails into her. This beautiful wood now turned ugly and cruel.
But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. it had made the second tree strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God.
And all three trees knew that this was far better than being the tallest trees on a hill. That's our story. Once again, it's a chance to see that if you're thinking about this story we just told, it's a story that's been told for generation upon generation, the three trees. And each one, the tree, during their lifetime wondered, why can't my life be all sweet? Why can't it all go the way I want? But soon they learned that God was using them for different ways. And that's one of the things that we learn in these days. Even during these days where we talk about a coronavirus, the reality is, despite all the yuckiness that is going on in the world, God is still here. God is still at work. And he takes everything in our life. When we trust in him, he takes everything in our life. And we start to see that he's doing it out of love and grace. And despite the things that may happen, he's here with us. He's here with us. And he's for us. And he's never, never against us because of his great love in Jesus. So we're going to just sing a song again?
We need to. Because my cookies are not quite done. We want to make sure that they taste really good. Or I get to taste them, I guess. Right?
Yes, I only get yucky ingredients.
Yes.
I don't get to eat the beautiful, lovely, tasty cookies. But so goes life. Here we go. Every move I make, I'm making you. You make me move, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. Every step I take in you. You are my way, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. All right, so we got to go over these. We got to go over how the motions go. Why don't you tell them some of the motions, Mrs.
Okay, so it goes waves of mercy, waves of grace. Everywhere I look, I see your face. Your love has captured me. Oh my, what is it? Oh good. Oh my God, this love, how can it be? Okay.
All right, and every move I make, every move I make, I'm making you. You make me move, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. Yeah, every step I take in you. You are my way, Jesus. Every breath I take, I breathe in you. Waves of mercy, waves of grace. Everywhere I look, I see your face, moving. La, 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 la. And how we doing here?
Looky here.
All right, let's move this real quick.
Alrighty.
How we doing?
Oh, I can't. I need to move this over this way. And here's my cookies right out of the oven. Who doesn't love warm chocolate chip cookies? Do they look good? Yes.
I think we might need to sample one
I am going to get one.
because I don't think that they look yucky.
No, they do not.
I think they look delicious.
They look delicious.
Let's just make sure because somebody is going to get the rest of these since I cannot eat them.
Ooh, look. They're still very, very, be careful. They're very hot still. What do you think? Does it taste like flour? Just flour?
I distinctly recall the subtle vanilla tones in them.
Mmm.
They are good.
Mmm.
Maybe you all
They're
should
yummy.
be making some cookies in the next day or so. And you can tell this story and think about the sweet and the yucky. That sometimes great things happen, sometimes hard things happen, but God is with us through them all. That's the key. So let's pray. We're going to do an echo prayer, so we would love to have you echo along. Dear Jesus,
Dear Jesus,
sometimes our life is sweet.
sometimes our life is sweet.
Sometimes some things happen that feel yucky.
Sometimes things happen that feel yucky.
And yet your love is always there.
And yet your love is always there.
You showed it by coming to us in a manger.
You showed it to us by coming in a manger.
You showed it in saying, peace, be still.
You showed it by saying, peace, be still.
And you showed it most by dying for us on the cross.
And you showed it most by dying for us on the cross.
Thank you for being alive
Thank you for being alive
and calling us to life
and calling us to life
and pouring your love into our hearts.
and pouring your love into our hearts.
Amen.
Amen.
So we're glad that you stopped by for lessons at 48th Lane or even the St. John Elementary Chapel for next week as well. And we are excited that you came and honored that you came and shared time with us.
And we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Alrighty.
Same place, same time, 7 p.m. on Thursdays for Lessons on 48th Lane.
Good
Have an
night.
awesome week.